So you know what? I was thinking about the tip of an iceberg. No, I'm not talking about the Titanic. I'm talking about the clitoris. Did you know that what you see of the clitoris is actually a very small part of the whole organ? And that's what we're going to talk about today. The clitoris, the female orgasm, and are the two linked? But before that, welcome to our show, Allo, Ask the Sexpert, a space where we invite sexual health and wellness experts, aka Sexperts, to talk about health, sex, pleasure, science, and so much more, so that you can have better sex backed by science. I'm Artika, and joining me today is Kanusha, who is a sexual wellness expert with Allo Health. Hi Kanusha, how are you doing today?
Doing very well, thank you. A lot of very interesting topics to cover, I'm sure.
Yeah. I think let's just dive right into it, right?
Yes.
Is the female orgasm a myth? Because I don't know a lot of people who've seen it.
Okay, it's not a myth. I think, maybe quite a few interesting facts for us to talk around.
Yeah.
First of all, an orgasm is something that's doesn't necessarily have to happen every time a woman engages in intercourse or any kind of physical intimacy, right? And it's the different ways a woman can achieve an orgasm. So I think a lot of them tend to think it's only through vaginal penetration, but interesting fact is a very small percentage of women actually experience an orgasm through vaginal penetration.
Got it.
But the clitoris, right, a small bulb-like structure around the vaginal area, the stimulation of that is what gives an orgasm to a lot many women, right? And then there's the erogenous areas. I mean, there are different parts of the body for a female which are sexually sensitive, and it's very subjective again. So stimulation of that, mixture of things is what can give a woman an orgasm, right? And, talking about a slight difference between how male and females function in this context, a man, orgasms, he ejaculates, and that can last for about, the orgasm can last for about a few seconds, typically. But for a female, I don't know if they're luckier, but it can last for about half a minute or more. And it's experienced through a peak of pleasure. And, they have these rhythmic series of muscle contractions around the body, around the pelvic area specifically. So a lot of things basically around it, but I think what's important is it doesn't necessarily have to happen every time. And there are different ways that you can achieve an orgasm.
Yeah. Interesting that you talk about the difference in the female body and the male body experiencing an orgasm. But once I was looking up at diagrams of the clitoris and the penis, don't ask me why. But, well, I was looking at the diagrams of the penis and the clitoris. And if you've all not seen it, you should Google it right now, just the diagram. And I was just amazed to realize how similar they are in structure. And yet we see a difference in how the orgasm is felt. So just kind of asking from there, I think the male orgasm has been talked about so much, and it's become a more simplified scientific fact now. Is there a way to simply explain what the female orgasm is and how it happens?
Yeah, I think, if we rewind a bit, so physically or biologically speaking, right, an orgasm is, for a female, an orgasm is typically, happens to two ways, right? One is where they experience a heightened, a peak sense of pleasure, and there are a series of rhythmic muscle contractions. Typically, largely around the pelvic area, but it can extend to, around the body as well. So this is basically how an orgasm is experienced for a female. And, a lot of them can experience multiple orgasms. I think maybe men aren't lucky enough that way, typically, if I should say.
Since we talk about how majority of women don't seem to experience an orgasm, can we say that the lack of an orgasm is an area of concern for them in any way?
It could be. So, there's this condition called Anorgasmia. So that's when, a female maybe gets very aroused, but she's unable to experience an orgasm. So, if a female feels like this is happening, where she's just unable to experience it, and although she reaches, high levels of arousal, advice for, to consult with a doctor and, detailed examination, evaluation, whatever, and we can deal with that. But otherwise, it's, a combination of, as I said, foreplay or focusing on the, So every female has her own sexually sensitive areas. So focusing on that, more stimulation of that, it's not necessarily that only penetration would give the orgasm. So a lot of different things to focus on, and I think generally that should work.
Right. I mean, also just coming from here, different erogenous zones, different ways to have sex. In such a case, if I were to ask you, how important is orgasm to experiencing pleasure?
Again, it's I think there are a lot of females, I've seen a lot of cases where, they're able to enjoy the whole sexual experience without necessarily having to achieve an orgasm. So again, it's very subjective. You don't have to do something, you don't have to feel something. But then if you want to experience an orgasm, like I mentioned, there are multiple ways we can go about it. But there are different kinds of sexual pleasure possible as well.
Right. On that note, we actually had a lot of people write to us. So we're going to move into the next segment, which is called Ask Your Question. This is again a reminder that you also can send your questions in anonymously. We leave the link in the description, and we'll ask your question to our Sexperts in the next episode. So can I take you through some of these questions?
Yes, please.
Okay, the first one. Whenever I try to have sex, I get wet and a lot of fluids come out, but I don't know if I've orgasmed. How will I get to know? Can I control it?
Okay, I think we'll again rewind a bit. So, let me start with the whole sexual arousal, the process of it, right? When a woman is sexually excited or stimulated, there are certain changes or certain things that the body experiences, like the breasts, get a little bigger, the nipples become a little erect or harder, as they say. The vaginal area sort of swells up, if I should say. And then there's lubrication, of course, right? So this is what typically happens in orgasm, like I've been saying. Vaginal penetration, clitoral stimulation, stimulation of other sexually sensitive areas for a female. So important for a woman to, maybe work on it with your partner, work on identifying what's your sexually sensitive area and more stimulation, and that should do good.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, moving on to the next question. What if I never feel an orgasm? We don't know if this is from a male-bodied person or a female, so, but still.
Assuming it's female, so I spoke about anorgasmia, right? It's a condition where a woman's never able to experience an orgasm. So I think there are two possibilities here. Either I'd suggest that you focus on all these, things I've been mentioning, different kinds of stimulation, foreplay and all of that. And if you feel it's still not working at all and you're getting that arousal but just not hitting the orgasm, please consult with therapist or doctor, and we can have that figured out.
Okay, coming to the last question. It takes me very long to orgasm. Is something wrong with me?
Not necessarily. I think, very subjective. So there are women who can orgasm within, I don't know, it's maybe a few minutes to a longer time. Maybe it depends on how much time you're spending on foreplay, stimulation, how aroused you are. So many factors, but there's no hard and fast rule as to how, fixed time for it.
Just again acknowledging that different individuals have different
function
but valid experiences. Great, that's the end of today's segment, and I have to share with you, Kanusha, and everybody else watching, that we've been doing this for a while, and this section, which is Ask Your Question, is slowly becoming my favorite, because a lot of times the questions you all send in make us think that, okay, this is so relatable, this is so important, and of course we should be talking about it. So thank you to everybody who sent their questions, and please keep them coming. You can again obviously write to us on Instagram, on our website, email us, or even just drop a comment here. That's all I have for you today, Kanusha. Are there any thoughts?
Nothing specifically. I think it's great that you're doing this, and we're talking about a lot of very important issues and topics. So I'd love for us to do a lot more segments and encourage people to listen to more, and of course send queries.
Amazing. So this is Kanusha and Artika signing off, and we'll see you soon with another topic and another expert.